Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of Mix in a Water Monday. We have Syvelle Newton, former Gamecock QB, receiver, defensive back, pretty much did it all. Probably even sold some popcorn in between at halftime. Syvelle, we had you on last year, and we were gracious enough to have you go on. I know a lot of people have seen comments by you on social media, so I felt like the time to have you on would be good right now. Maybe some people disagree with me with that, but I feel like there's good sometimes to be able to have conversations because, sometimes in tweets gets lost in translation sometimes. So I think just giving you the opportunity to have a platform where you can have dialogue. So, bottom line is this. South Carolina's offense, we saw what we saw last night. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It is not looking good right now. I have said in the past that, after the first 3 games, I thought there was progression. I thought there was progression from the offensive line at times. I thought there was progression from the offense. I thought we saw that in the second half against Kentucky. I thought we saw that in the second half against A&M. But from a holistic factor, it just has not been there. It hasn't. And what we saw this past weekend, everything that they have done in terms of taking any type of steps forward, it was not just 1, but 2 giant steps back. So I want to put that out there because I know you, and some people, when they see tweets, they're not going to understand, that you're joking around with me.
Yeah.
I've been critical of the offense, but I've been patient with it. There's going to be some other people that might not be as patient, and you know what? That's all right. But after last night, it's very difficult to look at this. And even if there is progress against Vandy next week, even if there's progress to end the season, it's difficult to imagine that South Carolina can continue to take steps forward, especially with all the talent that they do have on offense at the skill positions, especially.
Yeah, well, when you look at it, like you just said, man, mainly, well, first of all, everybody don't know our chemistry. They don't know, just working with you, where you started off, and get that, like, that we're exactly like we're brothers. I mean, we could joke with each other. I can say what I want to say to you. You can say what you want to say to me. There's not going to be any harm about it. You call me a punk, I'm not going to take any offense to it because I'm your brother. So we can do those type of things. Everybody can't do that with each other. But I'm just like one of those people when it comes to sports talk. I mean, say what you want to say. Is your opinion against mine? We can debate. We can debate about it as long as it doesn't get personal. Everything is fun. So we got that out the way. And yes, when you speak talent, I've been very vocal about the talent that we have on offense. I just look at it and I'm saying, like, at the tight end position, like, I mean, we have 2 tight ends that are both are going to play in the NFL. I see 3 to 4 receivers that have an opportunity to be NFL receivers because of their size. Um, when you look at Spencer Rattler, we knew what we had coming out of the transfer portal, coming out of a good system that he ran in Oklahoma. We felt that this was our time. We've been complaining about quarterback play for years, all the way back to before Bentley, all the way back to Dylan Thompson. We've been complaining about quarterback play, and we finally get a quarterback that can make all the throws, that has the ability to escape when the O line breaks down and still make plays. And we're still complaining about the quarterback position, but talent wise, when you go across the board, I still to this day, arguably, I say that we have the most talent. One of the most talented skill position in the SEC.
And I've said this before too, right? Look, when it comes to trying to put like a percentage, right, on terms of, okay, where's the blame go and point fingers, like, I'm not going to sit here and do a pie chart. I think the reality is, as a whole, the team's not doing well. But at some point, and I thought there was an interesting quote, Syvelle, and the timing, I wanted to be able to read this to you. Because obviously, as you know, people that have been following my work this fall, I'm double. Looks like we lost Syvelle. Gotcha.
Yeah, man. I think we lost connection.
Oh, good. We'll make it work. I'll just cut back in. 3, 2. All right. Had some technical difficulties. Syvelle's back on with us. But Syvelle, there was a quote I wanted to read to you. It was from Matt Patricia, because I'm covering the Patriots, as you know, and the Patriots don't want to give titles out, right? In terms of, okay, what's the offensive? He's a senior advisor. He's the offensive coordinator. But anyway, I thought there was something interesting that can be applied to what's going on, not just in South Carolina, but just as offensive coordinators, and we can kind of, discuss it. And here's the quote. Maybe a couple decades ago when we started, we necessarily didn't have to get into all that, meaning having to explain why you're doing something. This is what we need to do, and everyone moved forward with it. Education has gotten better and changed. Methods evolved, and I think that's an important key when you put a play in or teach anything. This is why we're doing this. Once you explain that, they get a better picture of it. So the reason I bring that up, Syvelle, it just really resonated with me with South Carolina. Again, we might not necessarily agree with everything, but I definitely have seen things from Satterfield this year that I can be like, all right, I can see why he's doing it. And there's some things that I do like that he's doing. But I do feel like there is some type of misconnection, right? Miscommunication or disconnection from the players and the play callers. I don't know if he's trying to get a circle peg and try to stick it in a square hole. It just feels like there's a disconnection there. So that when I saw that quote, that's what made me think of that, is that I do feel like there are some things that South Carolina can have success with Satterfield. But overall, though, I just feel like they're just not in sync. And kind of like when you're dating someone, they could be a great person. They could bring a lot to the table. But at some point, if it's not working, you can keep trying to get that circle hole and put it in the square hole. It's just not going to work. So I kind of feel like that's where we're at right now with South Carolina.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, of course, we all know that one thing I like to always say is, and even if you go back and look at the tweets, I would say, like, I'm not saying that whatever person that we're discussing, I'm not questioning their ability to coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not questioning their knowledge of the game. It's about when you are a play caller. When you are a play caller, and you're in charge, like you're in charge of what's being called down to the field or called down to the field. I've been in a position like playing under Coach Holtz. I said this before, not being 100% sure of what's going on, not knowing like, okay, we got a good playbook. The playbook is good. Coach Skip Holtz, I mean, we know his brilliant mind and knowledge of offense, and some of the guys that was on that staff up under him. We know how great of coaches that they were, but being prepared going into the game. Like I said, a lot of times I played when I was at quarterback. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know we call plays that I heard Rattler say it this time, or one of the players I went online in a kind of what we are doing. I think it might have been Van or something. He said,
Darius Rush and Josh Van,
yeah,
with the podcast that they do. I'm sorry that I don't have the name of the podcast, guys. I would plug that for you. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but he definitely said we're running plays that we haven't seen or practiced or talked about in almost a month. That's how it was. Playing for Coach Holtz at that time. Being a quarterback, not knowing. Yes, you're supposed to know, but being familiar when you're putting it in a game plan and things like that. I feel like Satterfield does have a lot of great plays and things like that. I've been saying we've been running the same play over and over and over and over again. So once you continue to run the same play over and over and over again, it just it gives what you're trying to do away. I don't know. I just feel like the easiest thing to do in any level of football. I won my first state championship. Basically throwing hitches and slants and quick outs. That's all we did. We didn't throw any crazy routes. We didn't run wheel routes. We didn't run any crazy mesh or crossers. That NFL style like the Minnesota Vikings do. We're not waiting on guys to get all the way across the field because that bunch is gonna crowd up. Spurrier ran that play a lot of times on goal line, 4th and 2 with the tight ends that he was blessed to have. But right now, I just feel like if he does have an offense that he's hiding, he needs to show it. He needs to reveal it. It's we said that we were waiting on SEC play, not showing much against Georgia State, South Carolina State, and the worst defense in the country, UNC Charlotte. We was holding our plays, but where is it now? We didn't see anything against Kentucky. We didn't get see anything against Texas A&M. Even though we won those games, once again, credit to the defense and special teams. If without special teams and defense right now, we'll be sitting with 2 or 3 wins.
And to go back, found that name of that podcast. Want to give Josh Van and Darius Rush their flowers. Want to make sure that they're taking advantage of that NIL money. It is called Completely Cocky. So go check that out. Nice little insight. I can only imagine what it would have been like if Syvelle Newton had a podcast when he was playing back in the day. I will say this, though, right? I'm never going to be the type of person that sits here and look, there's going to be some fans out there, Syvelle, that will say, why aren't you demanding him being fired? That's not my responsibility. Even if I was going to these press conferences, you can ask the questions, but it's not my job to say, what. So I bring that up because while I don't sit here and say, fire this person, fire that person, there's going to be people out there. Let them do that. Yeah. I think you can see what's going on. You don't need a reporter, or at least, I'm not going to be there. I feel like you could still be critical and not say all that. I bring that up, though, Syvelle, because where we are right now with South Carolina, I think a lot of people are, they're fed up, and I understand. I totally get it. I had this conversation with Perry Orth last night on the post-game show that at this point of the year, he doesn't think it would be that much of an impact to move on from the offensive coordinator at this point. Maybe you disagree with that, but with that being said, what can you do? And I'm not talking necessarily slants and this and that. I'm talking about to try to just make this work, because the reality is there's 4 games left in the regular season. If they want to part ways after the regular season, which we sometimes see before bowl games, and they can do that, or after the bowl game, or wherever the case may be. And again, that's not saying that Satterfield's even gone. I know some people don't want to hear that, but that's just the reality. But based on where they are today, where do you go from here? And would you? If you don't move, if you don't move on, do you think they have to move on? I want to throw that option out there too. I don't want to feel like I'm handcuffing you a little bit by saying that.
Yeah, well, it's all in Coach Beamer's hand, man. It's not on myself. It's not on you. It's not on any of the fans or anything. We all just want to see the best for the players. We all want wins. We all want to see the program at the top level. That's one of the things that we all have in common. We all want to see us competitive to get one of those top 10 spots, to get one of the college football playoff spots. So when you talk about where we are now, I just think that Coach Beamer has to keep a grasp of this fan base, because we're all like loving the things that he's doing. We loving how it's excitement around the stadium. So much excitement around the program from what I'm hearing, even though I don't go back and visit, I don't do anything with the program. It just to hear some of the things, you hear excitement. So I think in order to hold the fan base for what's going on, coming into this season, it was a question like, should we have moved on from Coach Satterfield coming into the season? Now that we're past halfway, we came out of a bye week, and it's the same stuff. So it's like, what do we have in Freddie Kitchens? Are we just paying him money, or what do we have in the other coaches on the coaching staff? We have to give people an opportunity, and I feel right now we're not taking full advantage of the whole staff. So if we lose the fan base, everybody's going to not be calling for Coach Satterfield to be fired. They will start talking about other things, and maybe we made a mistake and things like that, because I definitely don't want to talk about the Muschamp staff, but they won 9 games the second year. And luckily we have been blessed to play against South Carolina State, UNC Charlotte, and Georgia State this year, because we would be sitting at the same level right now. And I'm just thinking, like, at what point do you make a move? Like, do you wait till we don't make a bowl game, or if we don't make a bowl game, and then we're going to use that as a reason why? Because if we lose to Vanderbilt, we can almost say like something has to go. And if nothing goes on from that, then now we're looking up top saying like, hey, like, what are you going to do? Because right now we're starting not to trust you.
And that's a tough schedule too after Vandy. And Vandy, look, regardless of the hiccups that are happening right now with the offense, it seems like anytime South Carolina plays at Vandy at night, that's not an easy place to play at, regardless of the type of season Vandy's having. And then on top of
Yeah,
that, you got to go to the Swamp, which, as you know, that's not an easy place to win. And then you got Tennessee, who's playing some of the best football in the country, and then Clemson, who, look, they're still Clemson. So I say all that, Syvelle, because we know things aren't going to get any easier. You have to be able to get this win, get bowl eligible. That's not to say you can't win the next two. That's not to say that you can't do anything special to end the season. I do
yeah,
want to take a step back, though, and this is something I've always tried to do, and the way I always word it is make sense of, right? Make
yeah,
sense. You have a very unique perspective because not only did you play a receiver, but you played QB. You got to see things differently. Then you got to see it from a defensive side, too. There's going to be people out there asking, and maybe you don't have the answer to this, but when you look at what South Carolina is trying to do offensively, can you try to make sense as to why we're seeing certain things, why we're seeing some of the play calling? Again, not saying that you necessarily agree with it, but trying to make sense of it.
No, I don't. I don't. It doesn't make sense at all. I mean, we average about 6 foot across the board at receiver. With Leggett being 6'3", Van 6'1", Wells big receiver 6'1", Brooks is 6'1", like 6 foot 6'1". So when you think about the size and having Bell, like the yak yards that these guys can do. I mean, it can get. Teams are going to respect our size, and we're not using that size to our advantage. I think you take away from what we have when you don't have a quick game. We don't have a quick game. I mean, by God, I mean last night we seen one slant. We seen one slant. We seen one flippy hips and throw the ball. We don't have any of those type plays in our offense. When you see it, most of the successful offenses that are winning games or putting up high numbers and more points these years, it's quick. It's getting the ball out quick. Look at our run game. I mean, you look at our run game. It's really not if we don't have Marshawn really getting the yards himself, because there's nothing going on up front but a whole bunch of man-on-man blocking, gap schemes and things, zone blocking. There's no tight end like coming across pulls or anything like that. There's no double. It's just nothing. I mean, if you know football, you have to have movement up front to have a run game. I mean, we were so critical of the O line, but we got the same offensive line that stood in front of Kevin Harris. Those same guys, we lost to Darius Hutcherson, and he's the only one that's gone. Everybody else is still there. We were able to get 1,200 yards of rushing yards. So I'm looking now to say, why can't we run the ball? Why can't we do this? Running the ball opens up all the crossing routes, and then we'll all be saying, "Oh, he's a genius for the crossing routes." But not having a good run scheme, you got a quarterback that can move now. I mean, we have multiple quarterbacks on our roster that can move with Dowdy, and also, if you were to go the Joyner route, we have guys that can move. So we just got to be able to utilize what Rattler's strength is, and that's getting rid of the ball quick. And he's not getting any of the opportunities.
You kind of just hit on it, but look, right, you don't have a bye week. You have a game coming up in 6 days, 5 days, based on when we're taping this. I say all that, Syvelle, with what we saw the other night and what we've seen throughout the course of the season. Again, there's been good halves, right? Second half against Kentucky, Texas A&M second half. There's been good halves, but when you see what you did the other night, it's hard to even look at some of those goods and be like, all right. So I say all this because, again, you kind of hit on some of it already. What do you do differently, or what would you do to be able to start changing this based on what the offense that you have in place? Because again, because there's going to be some fans out there that just want to be like, all right, you know what? Spread offense, do this and that. That's just not going to happen. Realistically, that's just not going to happen because
Yeah.
8 weeks into the season, 9 weeks if you count the bye, you're not going to just come up with this brand new playbook. Based on what they have done so far this season, what can they add to it or tweak a little bit to be able to have some success and to have some of those things that you mentioned before that can help the offense get that spark?
I mean, I've been saying quick game, quick game, quick game, quick game. Just putting a quick game in, man. Not just throwing the quick pop passes. I mean, like most teams that we have played, if you go back and look at the film, the DBs are bailing, man. They're bailing out so quick. Um, they're getting out of there. So I mean, we should throw some hitches. I mean, keep some of these teams honest, like make them honor us. And if we had a quick game in, it's a lot of quick reads. It's a lot of easy reads for any quarterback in the SEC, the college level. And I just think right now, if we could somehow get any type of quick game into our offense, I think it will definitely change everything around. It would change. It would change the momentum. It would change the rhythm. It gets your quarterback in the rhythm. I mean, he's missing a lot of wide open throws only because he's not in a rhythm. I mean, being a quarterback, you have to find some form of rhythm. I know a lot of quarterbacks will say, "Oh, well, just make the throw," but it's hard when you have no rhythm. I mean, we got to find some of those passes that he can just pitch darts and let him just hit a couple quick ones. That's what San Francisco does with Deebo Samuels and that scheme. I mean, that's what all the teams are doing now. Let your guys win off the line. We got big receivers to let them win. We're not giving them any opportunities to win. We're not letting them use their size to it. So I think if Satterfield would somehow just take it back all the way back to, like I said, to even like a high school playbook and just insert the quick game and still do some of the things that he does now. I think we'll be looking at him saying, man, he flipped it around, he turned it around. But I mean, right now he's not doing any of that.
I know some of the players, they watch our shows and they listen to some of the content that we have on Gamecock Central, Syvelle. So maybe some of them are seeing this interview. And I say that because even though it's not apples to apples, I know that there were times throughout your college career where things maybe didn't go your way. And again, I know it's
Yeah.
not apples to apples, but what advice would you tell some of those guys, whether it be playing time, touches, or just the fact that they have to hear a lot about their offensive coordinator right now? There's a lot on the outside. And even though, again, maybe some of that they do agree with, maybe there's some of that they
Yeah.
don't agree with because,
Yeah.
as we all know, look, if there is to be any changes, not just offensive coordinator, there's any changes in football,
Mm.
it's not 100% on that coach. There's multiple
Yeah.
things that happen. But again, you're getting paid X amount of money. So that's why it will fall on the responsibility of said coach. I say that because there's going to be a lot of things that they're going to be seeing and hearing, people telling them this and that. What advice would you give them this week as they move forward? And not just this week, but the rest of the way?
Man, just like you said in closing, man, I would just say, tell the fellas, it's always going to be that's it's the game of football. It's X's and O's. You still have to like be respectful of the coaching staff. Stay respectful and honoring them for their position. Don't lose sight of the ultimate goals that you have in place, and that's the win. The win. Be the foundation, building the culture, establishing the culture for even the players to come. Don't allow don't allow some of the talk and things that you read from things like even myself from former players or anything to take you away from the locker room. The locker room is the most important thing that you have to focus on. Stay supporting your brothers that sit beside you, that get dressed up, that lace your cleats, put on the pads and helmets with you. Stay supporting of each other. And also, my main thing I would tell them to be vocal. Be vocal in a respectful way. Be vocal in a respectful way. It's a thing to say, hey, I'm not getting the ball, or these type of things like that. One of the biggest things that I had to do when I played during my time, I had to be respectful. I had to be respectful of every position change, of every time I walk into the stadium and not knowing what position I might be playing this week, whether I'm gonna be the starting quarterback or the starting free safety. I still had to be respectful. So I would just say to the players, even though the things you read and a lot of things you see, just make sure you stay focused. Stay focused in supporting your brothers and know that as long as you got each other's back, things can turn around. You go play for each other. And as long as you're playing for each other and with each other, you still have an opportunity to win no matter what the play calls are or anything like that. Just stick together.
It's gonna be funny. There's gonna be people that listen to this interview and they're gonna be like, based on some of the tweets I've seen from Syvelle, I thought the complete opposite. But this is who you are. This is who you are. And I know you want to see the Gamecocks do well. I know you
Yep.
want to see the Gamecocks do well. That's why you're as vocal, correct?
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm just vocal, man. A lot of times that I'm talking and things like that. It's still fun for me, man. It's sports. I mean, like at this point, I'm 37 years old. I had my years of playing. No matter what, how some of some of the things that I might be have displeasure with the program or anything like that. I still want to see the program at a successful level. A lot of people think I'm bitter. They think I'm negative, and some of the things I say is negative, and some of the things that I say is from a place of my experiences. Let's get that out. But at the end of the day, when it comes, the ultimate goal is still the same: is to see the Gamecocks win a SEC title, to see us get a chance to play in a College Bowl or a BCS Bowl or whatever. I just want to see that happen for our program. I think the fans have been loyal, and I think they have sat patiently waiting for this, and they deserve it. They really deserve to be able to witness it in their lifetime. And I think now is the time. It's not a time to wait. It needs to happen now.
And I'll add one more thing to that. I had an opportunity to run into Dante Reno, class of 2024 commit, quarterback, 4-star. He was at Monday Night Football last week when I was covering the
Uh,
Pats. And not saying this is directed at Syvelle, but just in general. I'm bringing this up because I'm sure there's some people out there, Syvelle, maybe they tweet at you and say, how is this helping the program? I'll say this. Reno mentioned, we had a conversation about this. And again, not about your tweets, just in general, more so with the fans. But he's like, and Pup mentioned this. We had Pup Howard on the show a couple weeks ago on GC Live talking Tuesday nights. They say they're fans. He's like, if anything, it just shows that they're supportive. They're passionate. It's like that's how it
yeah,
goes. And I say supportive. Yeah. Sometimes the negative stuff is a way of showing their support. You know,
yeah, yeah,
what's his name? There's a great saying. There was a great saying that I think it was by Reggie Jackson. Fans don't boo nobodies. So I bring that up because, look, don't get me wrong. Recruiting is huge. Putting your best foot forward, all that stuff, it is. But at the same time, too, and again, maybe this is just because I'm experiencing it from a different perspective, covering a pro market team and covering a college team this year, which
uh,
essentially that college team, that's your pro team. That's your
yeah,
pro team. I mean, it's different. There's no recruiting up here. And it's definitely way worse in terms of how some of the fans react
yeah,
because you're not dealing with college kids. But I just say that because, again, I'm not saying that every thought needs to be put out there, whatever the case may be. But I just want some people to see that or hear that because I'm sure they see some of your tweets and they just start instantly thinking this isn't going to help. Again, I know that
well,
I know that Pup doesn't speak for everybody,
yeah,
but those recruits aren't losing sleep.
yeah.
And if they're not going to come to South Carolina because of a couple of tweets, you probably didn't want them to be at the program in the first place.
Well, think about when I was the number 5 quarterback in the nation. I don't I was the number 5 quarterback in the nation, and you got the number 1 running back in the nation, Demetrius Summers, coming in the same class. When we saw and heard and read all these things like this, our thing was, well, y'all can say what y'all want to say. We coming. We about to change all of that. So when you get guys like that with him, with the things that he said, these guys, like a lot of these college recruits, when Clowney and those guys, and Gilmore and Lattimore and all those guys, when they signed to the program, man, they signed to the program on the understanding that they were about to build something special, no matter what the teams before, or the trash that we put on the field. But they knew that they were going to build something special. So the recruits, now I say this to all the recruits, and those who are coming in, and those who are sitting waiting their time, man, just understand that it is just fans talk. It is just people saying what they want to say. What actually happens when that 2001 is played, and you run through that tunnel, and you get that adrenaline going through your body, and you get out there and that ball is kicked off. That's the only thing that matters. Talk is gonna be talk. A lot of us done got paid for talking sports. I don't, we work together to talk sports, to talk junk sometime, and to criticize sometime, be critical, and also give respect where respect is due. So it's just sports talk, and you can't get caught up into sports talk. Take some of that stuff, and I would say out to the recruits, I mean, you got one of the best facilities in America. I mean, you got a great player coach and Coach Beamer, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get it together. I mean, he's going to get it together, and hopefully, Satterfield does some things that helps us change our minds about him, make us a non-believer. I'm a Cleveland Indian fan because of the movie Major Leagues, and I sat there and watched that movie, and my favorite part of the movie is watching those three fans sit in the stand each and every game. Oh, you suck, you suck, you suck. And then to see how that whole stadium started to fill up, and they started to win, and then they won the World Series with the Wild thing and things like that. So that's what you have to have. We're just fans. We're just we're just couch coaches, and we just want to get out. We just want to act like we know football. So don't pay us any attention.
I'll say this too, and it's sad that I do have to say this, and this is not a representation of the entire Gamecock fan base. But I did see some people do this, and this happens. There's always a bunch of knuckleheads in every fan base.
Yeah,
But I have a
yeah.
feeling that a lot of people are going to watch this interview because they do want to hear what you're going to have to say. So I'm going to throw this at the end. Please don't tweet at Mrs. Satterfield and some of the. I mean, like it's like okay, you don't like what's going on with the offense, like that's fine. And I'm not saying you're doing this, Syvelle. I'm just saying there's people been doing that, and I just want to use this because I know a lot of people are going to watch this. Stop with that. Like, just keep it what it is. Okay, you don't like the offensive coordinator with the play call, that's fine. But like tweeting at the wife, man. I mean, come on. Like
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah. I done checked a couple fans. They be like calling them clown. Like, I hate the word clown. I think clown is the most disrespectful word that you could almost one of the. It's almost like it's almost on the lines of a racist word. And I hate that word. And I'm not gonna be disrespectful to him as far as, like, if we're sports talk, yeah, we'll keep it there. But other than that, like, I'm pretty sure he's a great family man. I'm pretty sure that the players, like, they respect him as an adult and things like that. So, talking about football is sports, but
mhm.
when you start going personal, taking personal jabs and things like that, that's when it's like it's out of line. So I would tell the fans of our fan base, stay strong, stay cocky, be guarded in black. We all want to see the same thing, and we are GC Nation, and we're gonna get this thing going. I mean, it's not like we're in a bad position. We 5-3, right? 5-3. We
5-3.
should be 6-3 after next week. So just relax and let me do all the trash talking, and then everything will be fine.
Well, I appreciate you, man, hopping on with us. I know there's probably a lot of people again that were probably like, you know what? I'm glad I can hear from Syvelle. I want to be able to hear from
Great,
Syvelle and
great.
just be able to know exactly what he's thinking instead of just a couple tweets and not knowing the full picture. So I appreciate that. And as
Yeah,
you already know, buddy, continue to do great job with mental health and being able to help so
yeah,
many
man.
people, be you for you.
Oh yeah,
You're doing a lot of good things, man. I appreciate you hopping on with us.
no problem, bro. Be good, man.